All right, so here we go now. We're heading to Adabraka, where in recent times, I'm sure you all saw the videos and everything that happened. My very own sister, if you like, Sweetie Abochi, is on hand. She's on the ground to give us a report from there. She's going to be interacting with some people from there. Sweetie Abochi, if you can hear me, usher us through what you're gathering so far.
Well, thank you so much, Benjamin. And we are here at Kabest Jewelry, right here in Adabraka, where we witnessed that broad daylight robbery about 48 hours ago. This morning we are here. I mean, reactions have been pouring in from social media, among our own circles at home, in the offices. But we are here this morning to understand, how are the residents feeling this morning? I've seen that there are some shops that are open, and shortly we'll be interacting with some of the residents who actually witnessed this incident. But I just want to show you how the bullets that were fired into the air, when they fell into the ground, they were able to perforate this tarred place. And there are about 4 of them. We are told that the police were here. They've gathered all the evidence, which means that they were able to dig out the casings from the ground. And it's not only there. We can see some, we were shown a number of them. I think the car is parked over that, so we can't see that. But let's head over here too. You can see that a shop is opened. A number of them, people have come out. It's Monday, and they'll tell you that life has to go on. But follow me now. Let's interact with residents who were actually here during the time of that robbery, what they saw, how it made them feel, and ultimately, how confident are they right now as we speak in the security here in Adabraka. They'll tell you that they've been here. Some of the people I'll be speaking to tell me that they've been here for like 40 years now, and this is a very new experience for them. And guess what? This is the second time this particular Kabest jewelry shop has been robbed in 3 or 4 months. But let's hear the story from the citizens themselves. Good morning, and thank you for speaking to us. Please, you can join us. Let's have a conversation. Over and with them. Eddie, so we want to understand, first of all, what did you see on Saturday? What happened?
Anopa, best 10:30 going, 10:15 going. And now, car we park you be a motor 4x4. A park you or be at least best 10 minutes or 5 minutes. I come by inside or taba is a customer. On the tongue good into parking the car into Kotokonu, scanning Kotokonu, when no share car no man. Papa, we all you want to shop. I'm going to share car no man. I'm going to share car no man. Into or na Robert ni share no bar reverse.
Papa, way now they can no. Okay, so but you carry the load and put it in the car. Okay, but you were here with them. All right.
Omudosu. Into ohana mo ni share na papa no bar reverse. Bar reverse on the car no. Be odbe motor dey see on car no e chita no. You are got them now. Robert Jijano so say open the gate, open the door, open the door, open the door. Into mbie into mo shoot car no. Pa. Into mo shoot car no akwa no. Obie do na ba ku jina kan boot into obie pe no 25 na gbodi original boot nu o mu site o mu fast kan no ko shegun na ba ku 2 scan bi no 2 here.
Hold on, I need to do a translation so that our audience can follow us. So he's basically narrating what he saw on Saturday. He says that after some people who are regular people who often help to load the money and everything else into the car, helped to do that. And then the car was trying to move away to wherever their destination was. And then this car that had the armed robbers in it crossed them on the junction where the motorbike is. I'll show you shortly after this. And they ordered the man to get out of the car, and he refused. So they started firing at the car. Did he get hurt? Did the driver get hurt? Deny. Okay, so they shot at the car, and the driver got frightened, and so he opened the car and then ran away. The driver ran away. Okay, and opened the car door, and so they got access now and started taking the money away. Okay, how did this whole experience make you feel?
Oh,
you told me that you've lived here for 40 years now.
I say 40 years. Ya nyina ha na ebi diago. Your boss ni papa na won. We papa we ni a ya nya ni a. We are happy 2 times. We come 3 months ni. There by and we dia no ya work here ba ku na si wa no.
First one, how was it? So he's saying this is the second time in about 3 months that this is happening. And it's the same Kabest jewelry shop. The same shop has been robbed. This would be the second time. The first one, what happened?
First one no. I'm park car no. Oh no, we are inside. I'm on the car no. I'm use car no. We are inside. moto on the moto never move right inside the fast can go ni bibia the call once one show mo call no one to papa abi en no the call police obey investigation mo twa nyama yanti hwi second time suni.
Did they beef up security after the first time? So he also narrated how the first time they came in when fired warning shots, got inside the shop. The first time, the difference is that they went into the shop, took jewelry, gold. They tell me that is raw and processed gold and money and everything else. And this time around, they're back. So I'm asking, did they beef up security after the first incident? Like after the first time na police buy investigation in BB to tighten security ana.
First I am fast can call no. Best one police car to me be patrol. Best draw 2 weeks. And baby Nima Adabraka Nima police car to me be park 5 to 10 minutes. Best 3 weeks come ba habiu. Obi an ba habiu. And we so easy no.
Do you know the person who owns the shop?
No.
Has he said anything to you so far? What are the people saying? How do people feel about this morning? I've seen that OMBA shops, but are you feeling safe?
Because you won't go wouldn't be a bullet in Befa. Okuma Koda, into Yenya Isru, when you know Isu, into IGP no, so Betty, I'm a police woman patrol, patrol moment time for her, and no problem.
So after the first incident, there was a patrol. The police were patrolling this place for about 2 weeks, and then they abandoned the area. But the argument on social media, same way about any analysis, but we want to hear from you. Mona say, almost say driver and I say oche. Driver no or car red no. I say omo pake can sikanu can anyway. I thought oche or do, but normal. Now you were telling me.
Customer in newa ono tabe tongo good wa otumba akra ni make oko. This is not the first time. Otaba hapa on pentem normal. And at the end, I was say choking. Obi or yes, I no. Until the IGP no find shame. Then you need a police war on patrol hamaye. On patrol 24 hours. You need a problem, no.
Well, there was a lady, Mami Okowon. There was a lady here who was telling us that she heard, I think they're getting her for us. She heard the gunshots about a kilometer away. I mean, about a kilometer away from her home. And then she wasn't sure whether it's a gunshot, but they all had to just run helter-skelter. Some stranger even ran into her room because that was the experience. It was really loud. But no one has been hurt. I do want to speak to somebody else who, yeah.
The landlord over here ran away inside toilet. He's the landlord.
Oh, let's talk to the landlord.
Ran away inside toilet.
This is the landlord here, and they're calling him honorable. Honorable, they say you ran into the toilet. But what was your experience?
I was sitting outside here. When I heard the gun. And my friend that was sitting down, he was looking at them. And he told me that the gunman is heading towards us. So we have to leave the place because they don't want us to see what is going on. So we left. But I didn't go into the toilet. But the bottom line of this case is that, the guy, I don't know, he had a friend. And that friend is misleading him. Because when you are doing such business here, we all know the money that they bring here. You have to protect. Hey, go back. You have to protect your interests. There is no security here up to the time. It's almost 30 years he came here. So there's no security here. And secondly, when they came to rob you, you have to get sense. If you doesn't have sense at that time, you have to get sense to bring in a security. There was no security, so the people...
So the entire jewelry shop was unguarded? The first and second time?
Yes, and his friend, always put up a gun on his pistol.
Is he a bodyguard?
He's not a bodyguard. He says gun. And he doesn't give him advice. When you speak to the man himself, Bafo, he listens to that, his friend, and he will not take what you have been advising him. So... when this thing happened, I confronted them and tell them that they see what has happened. Because I was saying I heard a gunshot. I haven't seen some before. See? So I got angry with them. So I made my mind that if that guy comes here, I will not allow him to stay in this area again.
As in, you are evicting him because you are the landlord. This is your property. Are you evicting the jeweler, the best jeweler? Are you evicting him, or you are saying that the friend?
The friend who have been advising him, he didn't advise him very well, because you have to protect your interests. The security has to be here. If the security is here, we are safe. You understand me? But it has happened already. But
So
what I believe is that I've been seeing some pictures on the social media. That means the traffic lights have been watching the car, and they said it has gone to Ashama.
But this morning, that one is for the police investigation, right? But this morning, how do you feel in terms of security? You are a landlord here, and this is your home. This was your territory. This is what happened here. How do you feel?
For me, I'm a man. But when this thing has happened, now they've gone. They will go and plan for another action again. And so, because they realized that there was no security and they came first time, and they got what they want. The second time, too, they realized that there was no security.
Were you able to recognize anyone from the first time? Do you think it's the same group of people?
The first time I wasn't here, but the second time I was here. But those people who were here the first time, one of the guys I was sitting with him told me that the first time, the one who came to speak on the junction here, he was the one he saw at the car.
Oh.
So if that is the case, then it means that it was the same people.
So it's just suspicion that you cannot confirm for now yet that is the same group. I do want to speak to that woman. Auntie, you'll find her by. Madam, come. Great. So she has a unique story. Tell me, then they see what experience. What's the bullets no or gunshots no or what them? Cow story nature.
Right them. Now my best man ban. Into me far from permit see I dear him. To be a gate now boy about Kotam Sikojo. I didn't ever so knockout. The second one said I be what they too. And to near small games some time, dear. Brookers. To what me friend, my son come. Don't go far from Franimla. To what my bishop Jimmy Cabby Rammy them. And to say a baby PSAMP. I'm so my opinion on Conco. About Franwood in SC. Nam yam se shebe. If the first one I buy, my yam se share. Me TV Cacapanama coma. Mintimi.
Into PA Behunia, a coso.
Yeah, no, we some crop for a Johnny, a bassy. I'm Sako share inside. We say, join shop a bit away, posit.
Hey, I'm curious to find out. Mamma no toy could see on the money.
Yenini baby, a chino to be any baby.
Well, here we are in Adabraka at Kabes Jury. We just spoke to the landlord, some eyewitness recounts of what really happened on Saturday. They say that they feel very unsafe. I have one more person who wants to add his voice to it. Maybe you can do this briefly before I hand over back to you, Benjamin. So tell me your experience of what happened. And
in fact, when I heard a gunshot, I just stood up from bed. So when I came out, I didn't came out with a boxer. So because of the gunshot made me realize that it was the first people, because the way the gunshot sounded, you knew that it was the first people because it was the same. There was no change in the gunshot. So when I came out and I saw that they started throwing the money before they left, so we all ran the altar skelter and entered various houses. But because of the Muslim students, they were on break. So when they came out, so most of them were running, crying because of the gunshots. So a lot of people helped them secure them into their houses and all those stuff. But the problem is the security.
did they pick up the money? Did the residents pick up the money?
As for that, I didn't really notice that. My mind all was on the thieves, the armed robbers who were in, because everyone has to run for his or her safety. So but the more important is that we need a security personnel over here.
Did you see anything unusual? Did you see anybody who looked out of place before the robbery? Did you see anything suspicious before the robbery?
Not really, because I just stood up from bed when I heard a gunshot. So when I came, the scene was already done. the car was.
Let me get the landlord to speak to us. Landlord, did you see anything unusual before the robbery? The car that was parked, have you spotted it in the area before? Was it parked here for a long time?
Which car are you talking about?
The robber's car.
I haven't seen that car before, and I don't know. The last time they came, they said they brought motorbikes, 3. By this time, before everything was happening, when I was in the house, I saw a car do fast, and I realized that they were the people going. But when the camera started capturing it, they brought it on the social media. Then I saw the car. I saw the car that they were using. I haven't seen the car before.
And nothing else was out of place. But did the residents pick the money? The money that was sprayed into the air?
We collected here. We collected all from them. We made sure we collected all from them and gave it to Balfour's boys. I wasn't the one who collected it, but I was looking at them, instructing them, and they collected. Everyone who took some of the money.
How much did you gather in all?
Oh, they spread it, we don't know, but it will reach like something. When I see it, it will reach like something 30,000.
Wow, so they sprayed 30,000 Ghana cedis cash into the air. Why do you think they did that?
But it was bonded. Bonded. 100 Ghana notes, bonded. So.
No, was it an intentional attempt to spray the money or was accidental?
They did that because, you see, they are experienced armed robbers. Because they knew they would change them. So when they spread it, the crowd all came into the street and they were rushing with the money. So if another car wants to change them, that crowd who are picking the money, they've blocked that car. You see? So it was a strategy for them to do that. But all that we need here is the security. Because if the security are here, all these things will not happen. But
the police has been here already, have they not?
The police, they came here after the robbery. So we want the permanent police to stay at his shop there. Even if they are going to take the money, police will follow them. The police have to see the work that they are doing. I don't know why they are preventing the police to come. Because if you are doing such business like this, why didn't you get a security? You see, the police have charged him to court for not doing that prevention. Because we are at risk. When they started shooting, I ran to my wife was telling me, don't go out there. But I want to go out because some people are also running into our...
Right. Now I see that the shop is locked. We started from there. Who locked it, the police or Mr. Balfour himself?
As for that one, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But yesterday I saw that Balfour's daughter came to open it, and so the key is their shop. That is not the police shop, and that is where it was there the incident happened, but it wasn't the shop; it was in the car. So.
Thank you so much. These are eyewitness recounts of, the details of what really ensued here in terms of that broad daylight robbery at Cabest Jury. And we go back there before we wrap up to show you just how the place has been left. It's been locked. It's under lock and key. They're telling us that they can't confirm whether it was the police that locked it or if it was Balfour himself. But yesterday, the landlord tells us that the man's daughter, Balfour's daughter, was here. So here we are. This is the jewelry shop that was robbed. You can see it is locked. It is not open. There's no security guarding this place. In fact, not a single security person or police personnel. But we're told that they have been here before. So this is it. This is the situation this morning, 48 hours after that broad day robbery at Adabraka. Over to you, Benjamin Akakpo.
Thank you very much. And that is Sweetie Abochi bringing us that, all-encompassing interaction there. Very interesting subject that has been raised and why there was no security mechanism in place there. Well, we'll be joined by our guests to interrogate the crucial issues and find out how all of us can stay safe, especially as these elements, these nefarious elements, have not been apprehended yet. But joining the conversation, we have security analyst Adib Sani joining the conversation. We also have a criminologist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. I'm talking about Dr. Jones Opoku-Ware. Let me say a very good morning to Adib Sani. Good morning, Adib. Can you hear me? Mr. Sani, can you hear me? Adib, let's
Can you hear me, Ben?
Okay, I can hear you now. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Opokuwari, can you hear me, sir?
Morning to you and your viewers.
Great, great. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. Let me start off. I'm sure you've seen the video, the CCTV footage, the different videos. There's the spraying of money and all of that. I will ask first for your foundational comments, your appreciation, basic appreciation of what happened. I'll start with you, Dr. Opokuwari.
Well, thank you very much, Ben, and also a very good morning to your viewers. I think basically what I saw, it's something that shows that this is a very well-rehearsed, operation and involve people that are very much, experts in terms of, going for some kind of operations and robberies. So it is something that I think had been planned for a period, and that is what gives me the impression, and as I've said over the period, robberies like these are almost always insider jobs. So everything that happened and the way it was carried out, even the spraying of cash, on the street to distract, people who might pursue them, seems to suggest to me that this was something that was carefully thought through and had been planned over the period. And so it is something that is not a surprise to me.
All right. For you, Adib, what would be your basic appreciation of what happened, based on what you know?
Well, quite obviously, these are very experienced robbers. They obviously were tipped off because they were at a street corner, and they came in at the point the sedan was about to move. So the possibility that they could have been given real-time information is quite high. And they came in, hard, making sure that nobody approaches. They used a fear tactic, they used intimidation, and they were within a very short time able to clinically execute that robbery. And like Doctor said, they sprayed money. So if anyone attempted pursuing them, the streets will be blocked. And we see this in movies, heist movies. So surely these are experienced people, and it would demand experience, so to speak, to be able to, as it were, get them. But surely there's no denying the fact that the business owner was irresponsible with his security. There's no denying that fact. We understand this is not the first of its kind on his business, and surely not the first of its kind within the Adabraka enclave. I don't know. I think a research should be done why Adabraka is so synonymous with sex robberies.
But you know that Adabraka as well, even off the top of my head, there are a lot of jewelry shops in Adabraka, and you know that there will be quite a bit of exchange of money among other entities. But within the Adabraka enclave, just off the top of my head, I can count about 4 of them in the Adabraka enclave, barring those that I don't know. So could that be a possibility?
Absolutely, no doubt about that, because jewelry comes with a lot of money. Even without the money, the jewelry itself is worth
exactly
the risk they take. So I'm not surprised. And also the escape route. I mean, usually before robbers come in, they are able to map out the whole place. When we do this, what do we do next? Where do we go next? How do we abandon the vehicle? How do we transfer the money from the vehicle to another vehicle or a certain destination? I mean, they have it all planned and it's deliberate, okay? And I'm not surprised that a lot of this is happening within that enclave.
Dr. Opokuwari, what security lapses do you see immediately, having seen the footage?
Well, what I can see is that basically the shop and its attendants and everybody in there was exposed. There is nothing that was, protecting and covering them. And as my friend Adib has alluded to, he seemed to have information that suggested that this is not the first time that this shop has been attacked, and this should have preempted them. In fact, that there's a possibility they could come after them. Because you see, I've said this over the period that if you look at the patterns of robberies as we've seen it in this country, I mean, if you look at the crime statistics and the data right from 2016 to now, you could see a gradual shift in what we used to call residential robberies to more of street robberies now. And the reason why we have this pattern is that the streets have become more like crime attractors and generators, because you see, you were asking the question of, I think Adib was asking why that place, and you give him a clue that, look, this is a high, business area, and the kind of businesses that operate there automatically will become a crime attractor and a generator. So if you have such areas, the more reason why we have to put in, more security systems. And I'm expecting that the police, with time or from now, will begin to patrol those areas more and have more, of their personnel stationed there, because of the fact that this is a high, business area, and the tendency for such businesses to generate and attract criminals is very high. And on the part of the shop operators and the businesses, look, we have said this over and over again, that the fact that you are operating, such businesses that attract these huge kind of monies will require that you don't keep monies on you. Because you see, a lot of the time, as I've said, such kind of crimes and robberies in particular are almost always insider jobs. So people that are very close to you will look at a pattern of flow of money, and if they are criminally motivated, will begin to now have different ideas. These are things that we have said over and over the period. So I'm just surprised that for a business like this, once you have had, these criminals coming after you for the first time, you decided to just leave yourself, so open for the second attack to come. So I'm thinking that in terms of the security labs, one, we can look at it from the institutional, side, where we don't have a lot of police presence as a form of deterrence to motivated criminals. And also, I see it also from the business owner's point of view, where they should have been able to also provide their own form of security as a first buffer before even that of the police. So I think that these are the security lapses I'm seeing. And I'm very happy that at least we have some people who were able to capture them on CCTV cameras and all that. I'm hoping that the police should be able to use that to pin, these criminals and then get to them.
All right. For you, Adib, what would be the core security lapses you saw? Apart from the fact that it appeared the jewelry shop, Cabex Jewelry, itself didn't have any security mechanism, especially when they had been robbed the first time. I mean, you say once bitten, twice shy. Apparently, for them, that doesn't apply.
Absolutely. I mean, you can simply write to the police, to the IGP to be specific, and justify why you need security. And this is plausible enough. And I don't see why people don't do that. I mean, running a business in which such huge amount of money, transactions is done, yet you don't have, any security presence there, boggles my mind. Then there's this other issue of how well we know our staff. Because I remember some years ago, there was a robbery incident at a bank at the Accra Mall. I wouldn't want to mention the name of the bank. And investigations later revealed that it was an insider job. A security man in the bank gave the information to the robbers, and they came into the bank. I mean, on many cases, we've also had people going to pick up money from the bank. People from within give them information, these robbers information, and they come after them. That is why we always advise business owners to at least do some little background checks. Just take the credentials to the police. It doesn't cost much. So at least you know the background of your staff before you pick them up. But besides that, I mean, fine, someone might have a clean criminal, record. But midway, the person becomes compromised. So how do you deal with it? By putting in place certain control mechanisms, okay?
Right.
You don't put one person within a certain rule forever. You rotate. Besides, it is not always necessary to let workers know your movement. I mean, it's not necessary to let them know today someone is coming for money, you are bringing money and all that.
Right.
Such operations should be done in utmost secrecy. Sometimes I go to the bank Then I see individuals come out of the banking hall with large Ghana must go back, and it's so obvious. It's a lot of money, and you don't see any escort of some sort. So you don't even have to get someone within the bank to give out the information, but even from outside, you see that they are coming out with a lot of money. So we need to follow certain protocols, to throw off the criminals so they don't know you have a lot of money on you. And I heard one of the residents also say that one of the guys, the gentleman who comes for the money had a pistol. Look, a pistol can't do anything in the face of, robbery. They come in hard. They are holding Kalashnikovs.
Yeah.
And they give the first scare tactic by firing straight into the car or perhaps even into the air. You who is holding one pistol and you have like 3 people holding rifles, you dare not. That is why purposive compliance is so important. In some of these cases, please, don't try to be a hero. Just give them what they need. Because mostly robbers don't intend to kill. Okay, they are coming in for the money. But if you frustrate them in any way, then they might be forced to shoot you.
Yeah. And for you, Dr. Opoku-Ware, in terms of tracing, because there's been a lot of talk, even as we have this conversation, some people are saying this was clearly an insider job. Adib Sani has spoken about, a lot of these robberies having intel, someone, a mole within the system who gives them information. That is, if the entity is not completely reckless. But in terms of tracing, finding out from the police's end, who did what, when, how, what processes do we look at, especially gadgets, phones, and the rest? What procedure does this usually take or follow?
Yeah, so what I expect the police to do is basically to go to the crime scene. They are supposed to, summon and invite everybody, including the owner and all the workers there, and begin to now, talk to them. And if there are gadgets, just as you suggested, mobile phones and all that, they need to review them and see, the kind of calls and the kind of messages that have been sent to who and by who. So these are simple, investigative processes and procedure we expect the police to do. And then also on the crime scene, I think I heard your reporter say that the police have been there and they've been able to retrieve some casings and all that. We expect the police to be able to, do a proper, ballistic analysis of these casings and all that, and be able to, pick them. Sometimes, if these are Kalashnikovs, AK-47s, it's very easy for us to be able to look at the serial numbers of the bullets and probably, try to trace them. So these are things I expect the police to do. These are basic, investigative processes for such kind of operations. And I expect that the police will do a thorough job in that regard.
If you were advising Dr. Opoku-Ware, the owner or owners of Cabex Jewelry, what would you tell them?
Well, what I'll tell them is that one, I think if you alluded to that, first, they need to provide security for themselves. Okay, they need to make sure that their place is well secured. And secondly, I think they have to avoid the movement of cash and a lot of cash within their operations. I don't understand why in Ghana still people don't want to use, some of these, digital processes of transactions. So, for instance, can they operate POS systems? Can they operate mobile money systems? I think these are more securitized systems that can avoid and prevent the movement of cash, which easily raises suspicion. Okay, so I'm thinking that these are internal processes and systems that business owners must begin to adopt. Is there a way they can reduce the flow, of cash within their premises so that they don't attract, motivated offenders? Because I've already said that these businesses are already crime attractors and generators. So they have to find some of these ways to as it were, reduce the kind of, attraction that comes to them. Apart from that, they need to work with the police as well. And I'm expecting that within that enclave, because it's a highly business area, the police must work with the businesses people there and begin to patrol there. And even if allowed, they should have more like a permanent, station within that stretch so that at least they can have a better way of protecting all the businesses within that enclave.
I'll go to Adib Sani shortly, but let me also welcome aboard Peter Lanchene-Tobu, Superintendent Peter Lanchene-Tobu, former executive assistant to the IGP, a former IGP, of course. Mr. Tobu, a very good morning to you. Do we have Peter Lanchini Tobu?
Yes, I'm online. Benjamin, good morning. How are you?
I am well. I hope you are too.
I'm doing great.
All right, just hold for me briefly. Adib Sani, so for you, if you could give any advice to Cabex Jewelry, what would the advice be?
To the what? I didn't hear that part.
To the jewelry owners, the shop, what advice would you give them?
They have to review their security protocols. That is, if they had any security protocol in the first place. There has to be background checks on all of their staff. They have to cooperate fully with the police so they are able to comprehensively look into the matter. And they have to be more discreet this time around about the movements of money and jewelry. It is not always necessary to let everybody know. I remember some time ago, I had a problem with my vehicle, so I started in a trotro. And there was this gentleman on the trotro talking on top of his voice on the phone. Me free bank, my koji Sikano, you know, sort of. Everybody could hear that he's from the bank and he had a lot of money on him, you know, so I had to whisper into his ears, you know, like, you know, excuse my chi, I mean, do you have any idea I could be a robber? That's what I told him in the ears. He was like, oh, I'm pa. Then, you know, he stopped talking. So we need to be much more circumspect, exercise a great deal of caution when we are moving with money. And this is a lesson to all other, you know, shop owners, not just jewelry shops. I mean, we have building material shops who do a lot of, you know, transactions on daily basis. And I think it is important that they look at their security protocols closely. As for the police, I wouldn't really have much to say because mostly after such robbery, the robbers watch TV and they listen to radio the following day just to get to know what is going on with what they did the previous day and what the police leads are. So if you are not careful, you give out too much information about what the police should do. It could be inuring to the benefit of the robbers. So I think we would also need to be very careful about some of these things we say.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Adib Sani, a security analyst, and Dr. Pokuwari, of course, a criminologist. But let me focus now on Peter Lanchini Tobu. What do you make of the happenings of just this weekend? What happened? What do you make of it?
Let me say good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners. What happened in Adabraka in broad daylight is an embarrassment to our whole security architecture. Okay. It's an embarrassment and it's a failure for us to bring our citizens to a level that they will be security conscious. I want to deal with prevention, sort of react. What we are doing now, we are reacting to the crime that has been committed. Some years back, we established the emergency command,
Peter Lanchini Tobu, I'm losing you briefly. Supo, I'm losing you briefly. Please move a little and speak up for me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Great. So I'm talking about prevention instead of looking at the reaction. What we are doing now is reacting to the crime that has been committed. But if we look at the preventive aspect, some years ago we established what we call the Emergency Command Center at the police headquarters. And it was purpose to be able to connect systems like this. The CCTV camera at this stage could possibly connect the Emergency Command because it's serious data. And this is the responsibility of the business owner. That when something untoward happens there, within a second or two, it is activated at the Emergency Command Center, and police respond with a minimum, at least a maximum of 5 minutes response. If it had happened like that, I think that we would have been talking about smart policing. And it would have been very easy for the police to get the robbers arrested within 20 minutes after escaping from the scene. That's notwithstanding. My brother, you've heard of family lawyer. Families have lawyers. You've heard of family doctor. Families have doctors. Have you ever heard of family police? Sometimes it's funny. But when it comes to security, everybody believes that we are all security officers. Yes, your personal security is your responsibility. But when we are talking about security at another level, people are trained and they have the expertise to grant you service. The Ghana Police Service is supposed to provide you with a service.
And that opportunity for you to be served depends upon how you open up. Armed robbers are attracted to cash. They are motivated by money. So when you generate money in your business, you should know that that is a magnet for robbery. If it is a magnet for robbery, what will you do to provide security for yourself? So if you are expecting the police to be patrolling the area, that is fine. They will be patrolling. But the police do not know, and they wouldn't even know that you have fetched huge sums of money in cash with you.
Right.
But your other business partners, they know. And how do you trust everybody? In business, it's not about trust. It's about you.
So would you
having
say,
the credibility
would
to be
you
able to
say,
protect your own.
would you say those who were robbed failed themselves in terms of security, even before the larger security apparatus could be, brought in, that they themselves, they failed themselves?
That is the point exactly I'm making, that they themselves, their personal security is not something they've taken seriously. The business security is not something they've taken seriously. And I'm saying that I'm sure they have, in the business, they have lawyers responsible for that business. In the business, if you are working there and you are sick, they have a whole hospital to tell you, please go there. And once in a while, doctors come to give them some indication about the health. Have they ever gone to the IGP and said, please, we want standing police for this particular business because we generate so much cash and we can actually be robbed because it is attractive. Have they ever done that? I believe that if they have done that by now, the IGP will have stationed some police officers the day and night to provide them security for them to be able to do their business.
Right.
But I think that everything is fine. So when it happens like this, you push the police to the corner and they begin to react. And if they had gotten enough information from the beginning, they would have been very preventive.
Okay.
They would have been prevented.
Now, just to cap off the conversation, you said you would prefer preventive to reactionary, incidents. But now the police are stuck with reaction because that's the only thing that can be done. In a situation like this, I'm not saying give us details that would compromise the work of the police, but what sort of steps ordinarily are taken to nip the situation in the bud and likely grab the perpetrators of this act?
Well, it's a simple triangle that the police are going to use. There are three things. We have the suspect, we have the victim, and we have the location. The location was compromised, and we have victims. So what is left for the police to deal with now is to look for the suspect. And I'm sure that in looking for the suspect, a lot of things have gone on behind the scenes since the day the incident happened. And I wouldn't want to go into those things. But I'm very quite convinced with modern technology and related issues, this matter should be nipped in the bud. And I believe that the IGP will be on his toes to ensure that these robbers will not escape forever. They will be brought to book at the end of the day.
Peter Lanshini Tobu, we're grateful. Superintendent retired Peter Lanshini Tobu. We're grateful for your time this morning. And so we had Adib Sani, a security analyst. We had Dr. Jones Opokuwari, a criminologist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And you just heard Peter Lanshini Tobu, superintendent retired, who himself also joined the conversation. Stick and stay. We'll be back with more action right here on the AM Show.